Hello everyone, it's draft season baby. We are here previewing every single team till the draft day to just give you a glimpse of how their war room, how their draft room could look like, what I think about it, kind of meshed in with what I think they think about themselves because let's be honest, prime example here, wide receiver for the Bills. I would say DJ Moore, investment, second round pick for a guy that I'm pretty sure Bears could release Andy at this time of the year, or could send or ship for a fifth round pick. I would not make that, and I still feel like they, with the slaughtery of Keon Coleman that they have done on their own press conference, they still view this room as perhaps not complete. But with that, let's talk about what you are going to hear this. If you're just here for quick glimpses of what I think, here they are. If you want to know more, join me. We will have 15-minute preview for Buffalo Bills. I also encourage you to subscribe to not miss any other teams and see you after the draft night. With no further ado, let's freaking start. And as usual, it's going to be with quarterback room, and there is no point investing in QB because you have Josh freaking Allen, who in my eyes is the best quarterback in the goddamn football NFL. Now, at the same time, if he goes down, you will never have good enough backup, so there is just not really a point to spend big. At the same time, Kyle Allen as number 2 scares me a little bit, and I think looking deeper into this QB draft class that everybody says it's dreadful, it's everything, they are always looking for 27. I would disagree on one thing. If you need backups, I feel like there's actually a plethora of guys that will fall into 5th, 6th, potentially 7th round that you can get into the room and they will function as your QB3 and potentially QB2. So I think they will invest in this room, but it's going to be tier 3 nevertheless. Now, in terms of the running backs, I don't think we have to spend too much time about that as well, because James Cook, I was pretty early calling this guy elite 2 years ago, and I think I have been proven absolutely right, and a small victory for me. I'm so glad. He is freaking awesome. Their run game, obviously, is enhanced by Josh Allen. He creates a mismatch. He creates this one in your head when you have to count for him. I get it. Nevertheless, he's freaking amazing. Next to him, you have Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. The best complementary trio that you can ask for, because Ray Davis is their bowling ball that you just smash. You need one tough yard, he's going to give you this. And he takes bad carries. Bad carries in terms of longevity from James Cook. And in Ty Johnson, they call himself one of the best for down backs. I would not go that far. I'm not as big of a fan, but I still think he's a very, very nice third down weapon. So real nice room. Nothing to talk about there in terms of draft need, in my opinion. Now, there was a receiver room. Khalil Shakir, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, Tyler Shavers, Mecole Hardman, Trent Shenfield. A lot of teams could have dream of this room. I didn't like DJ Moore trade, but that's just because of the value. I think I'm higher on DJ Moore for a long time than a lot of people were. But with this room, I think it's a tier 3 need. But in their eyes, it might just be tier 2. And here's why. Joshua Palmer did not necessarily hit the ground running. There is some question with injuries. Keon Coleman, I don't know how he comes back to that room after that press conference. And Tyler Shavers, he had very nice moments, but that was just moments. So they could view this as, okay, we have 2 guys that we trust. And I would be still that's still fine because you have 3 freaking amazing tight ends and you want to be in 12 personnel. So in my eyes, it would absolutely be a tier 3 need. But looking at this from Bill's perspective and how they kind of talked about this and view this, maybe it's tier 2. I don't know. Truly tier 3, if I'm looking at it, if they spend a second round pick, they don't have second round pick because of the GMO trade, but I would hate it. But from their point of view, it might be what they do. So we will have to wait and see, because this front office has done a lot of things that I do have a disagree. So this is where my view kind of tries to blend with what they might think about it. Now, in terms of tight ends, again, one of the better tight ends room in the damn football league, that Dawson Knox. Actually, bringing Jackson Hawes into the mix kind of light the fire under his ass. He had one of the better seasons in last 3, ever since pretty much they drafted Dalton Kincaid, who is their one receiving specialist. Dawson Knox kind of do it all, Jackson Hawes mostly for blocking, but they complement each other very well. Very nicely built. I love this room. I think it's truly, truly great. Now, speaking of their offensive line, they are also set there. You have Deion Dawkins and you have Spencer Brown as your tackles. Now, with them, it's not like what you have with Saints, Jets. These guys are paid. They are out there for quite a while, and you like them. Maybe it's time to start to look to develop something behind them. They have some developmental pieces in Chase Land, but perhaps it's time to do something more about it. I would not spend premium there. I would still call this a tier 3 need. And unlike with the Jets room and the Saints room, I would have look day 3 for the guy that is absolutely raw, but has the most traits. Because here, I'm counting on a guy potentially, like I want to buy that potential that he could overcome these two guys when they, like in 2-3 years, will retire. We want to get cheaper. With Saints and Jets, when you have young tackles, I want a guy with high floor, low upside, because there is no, almost no room for him to ever play for us. Here, I think that room is there. So that's how I would approach this room. Now, in terms of their interior, they have lost David Edwards, and that's a big loss, because he's been low-key one of the better guards in the entire conference. You have Conor McGovern as your starter. That's where you like pivot from there. Osiris Torrance, he's on last year of his deal, and like that's a little bit worried, because it's not like you are swimming in cap space. And your next guard is Alec Anderson. They have brought Austin Corbett, which I absolutely love. I think it's one of the low-key best moves, like those cheap signings that you get, and they will just pay off tremendously, because Austin Corbett like could start as a center, though Conor McGovern is better, but like Austin is damn freaking good. And he could as well switch to guard, be a backup there. They have also brought Lloyd Cushenberry, so they kind of stacked on centers, on like kind of low-key value picks, that it feels like they are patching this room, that these guys perhaps can play guard, can play center, backups. Like they have boosted this room for very nice prices. Absolutely get there. When we're looking at the future, paying Osiris Torrance or not, you probably do, but it's going to be a hefty price, and you still don't have that second starting guard. So in my opinion, interior of the offensive line, especially the guard, is a big need. Overall, I would call this a tier 2 need, but split into center is kind of a tier 3, and the interior is a low-end tier 1. Now, let's switch towards the defense. That has been very underwhelming, because when you invest, I would say, a lot of resources there, you have defensive-minded head coach, and every single time you get into shootouts in the playoffs. And like Josh Allen is really good. He has his nemesis in Patrick Mahomes, and I would say this defense. Now, where are they at with their defense? In terms of the edge, I feel like they have enough bodies and enough investment that they could call this a tier 3 need. At the same time, it heavily leans on what do we think about Bradley Chubb, because Bradley Chubb last year was not great, not good. He was like to a degree a liability. So the question is, what Bradley Chubb are we getting? What is his long-term, and long-term I mean 27 and 26? Because it's not like they have not paid anything for him. It's been, let me just give you the clear numbers on Bradley. It's 3 years, 45, something like that. 3 years, 43. So he got paid like an H2, 2.5-ish. And they're counting on him. They also have Greg Rousseau, and they have a couple of other bodies that they have invested and looking for, like reap the rewards. The question is, are we confident with that? I'm not. At the same time, Will Michael Heck, with Landon Jackson, there is enough bodies and enough like recent investment that here, even though I would like be probably more into like tier 2s, I think they view this room as a tier 3. And we're like, okay, we flip the coin kind of once again on injured former Bronco that has been once upon a time one of the best pass rushers. Well, with Von Miller, he's been the best. Like with Bradley Chubb, like I think his ceiling was like top 15-ish. And we hope that we can, get the best ounce of football from him yet. I'm not so sure that's going to happen, but I feel like they feel good about this room. I wouldn't do it that degree, but I think it's fine. In terms of the interior, I would go slightly higher, because Ed Oliver, I was not like a super big of fan of what he was doing last year. Like he's still disruptive, but I would not call him DT1 necessarily at this point. Like DT1 of the entire, like if he's your best player on defense, I would call it a problem. If he's your 2 behind Greg Rousseau, I think it's adequate, but it's not necessarily great. Daquan Jones feel like he is slightly slowing down with his age. And there is Dion Walker, a very fascinating player. He had a very interesting year 1, but as of right now, they list him as a nose tackle. And I would hate him to play nose tackle because like he's not a great run defender. Like he looks like he should be, but he's not. So I want him like as the mismatch piece because he's just so brutally big. And I think it can work from like a nose tackle perspective, taking on center. But at the same time, like you cannot necessarily count on his run defense. And TJ Sanders, let's be honest, he's been horrible so far after spending a 2nd round pick on him. So like with that, I would really like them to invest one more piece here because I just don't feel confident. Again, they might feel like, okay, we have 4 bodies, let's go. We will have to see. Like these are like with Bills, I don't really see super well eye to eye with how they approach situations, how they value whereas draft picks, whereas free agency money. So like we are really not on very similar like brain length, and it kind of is shown here because like I'm not super sure. And speaking of not being on the same length, I think paying Terrell Bernard like $13 million a year for being linebacker, I don't know, like is he like to me he's linebacker 3, like perhaps linebacker 2, like okay, he's linebacker 2, but like he's getting paid like an LB1, and I don't think he's that good to a degree. Like I think he's just a guy in a way. So he was kind of like kind of a guy out there, and like I like Dorian Williams, Buffalo Joe and Joe Anderson. I enjoyed his clips in Hard Knocks last year. At the same time, like I would call this a tier 2 because I don't see a true impact player. I think there are bodies. I don't see a true impact guy, and like even if you look at the mere depth, I don't necessarily think it's great there. So to me, this is tier 2 need. And if there is a potentially spot that they could invest that 1st round pick they had, if the linebacker value matches out, which probably is not going to happen, it could be here. Overall, like before we get to the secondary, I think their draft strategy should absolutely be trade back, because when we looked at this in the big picture, I don't think there is necessarily a dire need for this team, unless you call it the guard. In that scenario, not having 2nd round picks, I would be looking for trade back, just to recoup some of the picks, because you don't need that high-end talent. You need, but like you are not necessarily in position to just go for it and like leave everything to the Wolves in the 3rd round and 4th. But I think you need rejuvenation in so many areas. So having a couple of 2nd round picks would definitely don't go amiss. But we will see. Now, in terms of the CB, I think it's a tier 3 need. Christian Benford, one of the better corners in the game. I think he's underrated, but hopefully it's going to stop someday, the underrating of Christian Benford, though he is not coming off the strongest season. Like I still think he's top 15 corner, but I get like at least a lot of pushback from last season where I don't think he necessarily played that well. Opposite to him, you have Maxwell Hairston, 1st round pick investment from last year. And as of right now, they do have listed Dorian Strong ahead of him, who was, I think, 5th or 6th round last year. And there was a lot of smart people saying they would not be shocked if Dorian Strong turns out to be actually a better CB than Maxwell Hairston. And when you look at the first year, there might be something onto it. But we have to like put a lot of things in place because there was a lot of interest for Maxwell Hairston. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to him to just like bash him for it. Nevertheless, I think their outside corner trio is absolutely set. And for nickel, they have signed 2 veterans in CJ Gardner-Johnson and D. Alford. So you could argue they might look for a nickel, but I think they've patched it enough for this year and potentially the next one that they probably won't. So it feels like a tier 3 need for them right now. Safety, it might be something more. Again, they might be more favoring Damar Hamlin and Geno Stone than I do. When I look at this room, I like Cole Bishop a lot. I think you need another difference-making safety next to him. I don't think Geno Stone is that. But with him and Damar Hamlin, they probably feel like they have enough. So I would probably settle on like high tier 3. If you just go straight to my evaluation, probably low tier 2. From their point of view, it's probably tier 3. So let's settle on high tier 3, right? Now, this was your Buffalo Bills, a team that does not appear to have like, we absolutely need to address this. I think the closest to it is the guard position. But there's a lot of room that feels like they are just adequate or good. And that probably is not good enough to win the Super Bowl unless Josh Allen like literally puts the Superman cape on and is going to be that for 4 games straight, because I don't think they are getting the first round bye. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment, and help tremendously. And see you with the next one.